Hello, this is Miranda from My Scrappy Life and welcome back to my channel. This is a process video for Multi-Monday Photo where we use 2 or more photos on our layout. So we did a grab 5 and we needed to use a sketch. So that's the sketch I use. So as you're watching me do my mixed media that I absolutely had to do 5-6 different times, drove me insane. I had to tear up. This is my 3rd paper on here. It just wasn't turning out the way I wanted it to, and ultimately at the end of the day, this layout, I like this layout, but I don't love this layout. But I'm not going to redo it. You have those moments. You have those moments where you really don't absolutely love a layout, and that's okay. And that's how this one is for me. So the grab 5 is I'm supposed to use ribbon or twine, the color blue, 2 different alphas on your title, a sketch, and splatters. Well, there's my splatters, there's my mixed media, so I've got the splatters and stuff, and then I do end up using the splatters at the end too with the yellow. The ribbon and twine you will see me use behind some flowers. The color blue is all the way through. It's actually more of a teal color than blue. And it's little pops of blue here and there. I don't make it a distinct color, but it's a mixture. And that mixed media had to dry. So I will show you, it'll come back into play here. But for right now, I'm going to do up my layering. The layering and stuff I am using is from my stash. And it is the carousel paper pad with all of the stickers and embellishments that I do have left of this particular collection. So this is what I was telling you, that I have the blips of blue popping out here and there. They're just little spots of it. And I'm just using up a bunch of little bits that I have left over. I'm trying to just get rid of them so that all I have is bigger papers left in my paper pad. I pull out some of my paper pads from the carousel collection and just make it work. Now, the different alphas, I don't have the vintage looked alphas anymore that came with this collection. And I wasn't going to honestly use another. So I decided to do different titles for mine through stickers. And that's how I'm using different alphas, quote unquote. It's different titles that I am using. And you'll see how I incorporate that. So I take this vintage floral mustardy bluish colored paper, turn it into a banner, place it down behind it, and then I'm just going through figuring out what paper I want to put on the top. So what I did was that I flipped this and made my, I guess made my mixed media come downward, and I cover most of it up because I didn't like it. And I'm being honest. I use the splatters. I make sure I keep some of it in so that you can see it, but I don't like it, and that's why I hid it all with this paper. It just didn't turn out the way I wanted it to, and sometimes that happens, and that is completely okay. And that's what I do. I cover it up. Yep, I do. And I have no problem saying it, and I have absolutely no problem stating that I was frustrated, didn't like how it turned out, and I covered it up. And then here's the problem is because I covered it up the way I did cover it up, I needed to add more, and I didn't realize it until I started doing my embellishments down on the bottom. And then I try to come in to do more, and that's where I'm like, ugh. It is a really good layout. I do like it. I enjoy that I kept with it and I didn't stop, but there's ways of covering it up, and that's what I did. I covered it up. And I'm okay with that. So the pops of blues and teals and all that, it's going to show through here in a little bit. I take this chipboard piece and I make it so it looks kind of like it's yeah, like that. And then I do change it just a little bit to make it more straight. And then I tuck it in there so that it's kind of just in the corner there. I do love those pieces there. It's just my birthday weekend that we took. It was a 4-day weekend into Greece, or Athens, Greece. And this is when we finally got to step down and just relax from the little bit of a trip that we had prior to getting there. So while you're watching me do all this, I'll explain a little bit more of why we're like tired but yet excited and all of this jazz. So when we left to go in the morning, we were supposed to leave early in the morning. We were supposed to hit one of the other countries quick. Not the 3 of us. I was not honestly supposed to be in this country. But because our layover was only supposed to be for 20 minutes, and it was enough to get off the plane and hop on another plane to get to Greece, it was fine for us to do, and I had no issue just not saying that we had this layover in this particular country and then leaving. Well, this country and this airline decided to cancel our morning flight and put all of us on the front, or all of us on the same flight at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, that missed our connection flight into Greece. So we were a whole day behind. And it didn't frustrate me. It frustrated these two ladies. Like, they were freaking out. So mom mode of me come out. I'm like, I'm calling Josh. And I'm like, hey, I may need the embassy for Serbia, because that's where we ended up staying at. Can you possibly get that for me? And then we'll, you know, I'll take care of it from there. I'll make sure the airline gets everything. Because they are, if they cancel a flight and they make us miss our connection, they have to put us up in a hotel room. And they were not having it. They just were like, I was like, dude, it's part of the adventure. And so we were in Serbia for 24 hours because our next flight wasn't until 2 o'clock in the afternoon the next day. So this whole weekend ended up being a short vacation because we essentially missed a whole day, so we couldn't go to the beach and stuff that we wanted to. We had to drop the beach off because we purchased stuff to see, you know, in Athens, the historical stuff. So in the meantime, I hooked it up. I was like, I put a picture on Instagram, and I was like, I placed my feet, and I'm going to scrap that story here shortly too. But it's like showing my feet, and I'm like, only if I could tell you what country I am in, because it's not Athens, Greece. And, you know, my husband was like, all right, Miranda, you guys did this now. I gave you all this stuff. Are you good? I'm like, yeah, dude, don't worry about it. You should know by now I am cool and kosher. And so they got us a hotel. It took them until like 8 o'clock at night to get us a hotel room. AKA they were just trying to see if we would just do it ourselves because they didn't want to pay for it. Well, it was their mistake. So there was no of me not paying for it. Well, we ended up reaching out and to a couple of the guys that were standing around because their flight ended up being the same way. They left the same time we were supposed to leave, but their flight got canceled too in the morning and came with us, and they were heading back the same time that we were. So we were like, you know what? When in Rome, right? So we're like, when in Athens. And so we started talking to them. Well, they ended up being at the same hotel we were, that we got placed in together, and we just started talking. Well, come to find out, we found out that, and I was like, I recognize two of them because I'm a football player. Like, football in my world is like AKA soccer in the US. And I'm like, I recognize two of these. And sure enough, they were part of the German team for FIFA and whatnot. And I was like, I knew it. And so they were coming to Athens because one of the other players that was there that I didn't recognize, they just must have been second or third string, didn't really know. But I realized that, and they were there going on a bachelor's trip because their friend was getting married. And I was like, sweet, you know, so we hung out with them. They were a blast to hang out with that night. They went on their merry way in Athens, and then we ended up coming back on the same airline, and we all sat together and we started talking. Two of the guys that were part of the actual football team that played, we started talking about hitting the gym and all of this stuff, and so it was pretty fun. It was a really exciting time. I had no issues. My friends were a little flippy at first, but it ended up being a really good trip. Well, these two pictures were the pictures of when we could finally get into our hotel room, because our hotel is a whole nother experience that I will tell you on a different video, because that'll take up more time. But essentially, we got our hotel, and we were right outside the city center. And believe it or not, this is where our feet landed, and we were just, oh, we can breathe now. And essentially, I was breathing the whole time, but these two could finally breathe because we were actually in the country we were supposed to be. And where the city capital is at for Athens, where the buildings are, they actually have this style of, it's like slate for their sidewalks. And it's just gorgeous. It's white. I absolutely love it. And yeah, so as you were listening to my story, I was doing all of my little bits and bobs, and I ended up adding a little bit more mixed media, and I added a little bit more of the little things that you see adding. So my big title is Celebrate Today, and then I have another small tile that says Big Smiles, and then Think Happy and Dream. I do my journaling off camera. You will see in the still shots where I place it. And there's all that twine that I added. I added it to the hot air balloons as like a string, and then I added it to the flowers on the bottom. Sorry that my flowers are a tad bit off camera. I was working and I didn't even realize. So I'm going to end with these splatters. Hope you make sure you go check out everybody for a multi-Monday photo. Do this grab 5 challenge. I'll link that down below. I'll link the sketch, and here are the still shots, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.